very chilled out, relaxing video. Tonight it's going to be really, really simple, and we're just going to be relaxing, stretching out the day, and just unwinding our minds and our bodies, ready for the perfect night's sleep. So feel free to follow along. We're going to be doing some very, very gentle stretching, just unwinding those muscles, and we're just going to be slowly unwinding the mind at the same time. So if you're like me, before you go to bed, you will have a nice hot beverage. I tend to make a hot cup of tea before I go to bed, about half an hour maybe before I go to bed. And lots of my American followers always ask what tea I drink. And I say American because in the UK, the most commonly drunk tea is always English breakfast tea. So I don't really get asked. But in here is English breakfast tea, but it is a decaffeinated version, and I have that with some semi-skimmed milk and a couple of sweeteners, which, I clearly need because I'm not sweet enough. I need all the sweetness I can get. So let's take a sip and then we can get to some stretching. Okay, so you may or may not be able to fully see what I'm sat on, but I am sat on a yoga mat. So this is a nice thick padded mat. You can get quite thin ones, but I particularly like this one because I need all the padding I can get. I like to be comfy. So it is a purple yoga mat, which is probably about half an inch thick, maybe an inch thick even. And I think getting yourself a yoga mat to do yoga, Pilates, or just these stretching exercises is a really good thing to do because it encourages you to get in the right frame of mind and just get in the right dedicated space to relax. So I think it's quite helpful. Now, as for what I'm wearing just a nice comfortable top. I always like to wear things with stretch in, so just wearing a nice stretchy top. And then I'm wearing very loose, baggy trousers. I normally wear something like this to bed, or especially to do something like yoga in, so you've got lots of movement. So what I like to do first is just sit cross-legged on the mat and just sit in a position that's as comfortable as possible for you. So you'll have seen the typical seated yoga poses where people will cross their legs over in a certain way, but sit however you find most comfortable. Then just drape your arms and hands just comfortably over your legs. And then what you're going to do is imagine that you're being pulled up by a piece of string. Now I may go a little bit off camera here, let me sit back a little for you. But you're going to sit up and imagine you're being pulled in the centre, so right from your core upwards by a piece of string. So just imagine you're a puppet and you're being pulled up, and what that's doing is that's stretching your back all the way up. So once you've stretched upwards, what you're going to do is you're simply going to roll your shoulders back and push those down. So this can be quite tricky to do all together, and if I'm honest, it can be a little bit uncomfortable. I'm someone who can have poor posture, so my shoulders are often quite forward. We need to push them back, push them down, and keep that back nice and straight and upright. And it's good to do this for a few seconds. Just really feel the stretch all the way down the spine, through the shoulders. Good. And you can try to maintain this pose for as long as you can. What I then like to do is I like to take my arms upwards. Now you may not be able to see this on camera, but all you're going to do is simply bring your arms up and together, and you're going to create this sort of pose, okay? So imagine you're a Charlie's Angel and you're going to pop that above your head, and what this is going to do is, whilst reaching upwards, pushing your knees towards the floor, you're going to feel an even greater stretch, and then we're just going to gently lean to the side. Now you'd want to try to resist leaning too much forward. You want to keep it to the side, and then the same to the other side. Now if you were standing, this is very similar to a half moon pose, and every individual is different, so just stretch out as much or as little as you can. I like to combine the practices of yoga with just my own likes for different stretching exercises, so it really is whatever works for you. So the next thing I like to do is I like to work on my neck. Now my neck's an area that can get very tense, and I always think if you go to bed with a very tense neck, typically it can be a struggle even more to get to sleep. So by relaxing the neck and untensing it and unwinding, it just enables you to fully get into that relaxed headspace. So for this, what we're going to do is we're going to get our hands like this and imagine that we've got tennis balls underneath them, and we're going to place those right on top of our shoulders. Now you'll be able to feel the stretch right underneath here, and all you're going to do is look to the side and you'll be able to feel the stretch right down your neck. It's important with all of these moves that you do them slowly. You never want to be swinging your neck around. And just move your neck front and back. Good. And then moving it ear to ear and dropping to one ear and rolling your chin all the way, and then just dropping that down. Now your neck is a very tense muscle, so you may have to do that a few times, but it does definitely release some of that tension. Now, following down from the neck, we're going to start to relax those arms. So we're going to take the arm like this. I'm going to move it across. So again, this is a great move, and you can do this however intense you want to. You can really feel this here. So we're just going to grab and just twist just a little bit, as if you're really hugging that other arm. And then doing the same to the other arm. Good. Now the other thing I like to do with the arms, and this isn't necessarily a good technique, but this is something that I just personally find beneficial. So these are some resistance bands, and they come in different resistances. So if you've never seen these before, I'll show them to you. So this particular set comes with an extra heavy one, so that basically means that if I try to pull it, it's very hard to pull. Then we have, I believe this is just a heavy one. So again, a little more movable, but still quite heavy. This does come with a medium, but I have misplaced it. So we have a light one, and that's the one that I'm going to use because I'm not looking to sort of tone or do anything like that. I'm just using it as very light resistance. So lots of people like to use the medium and the heavy ones when they're doing things like squats or leg exercises, just to try to increase that resistance. So you have to work a little bit harder. And these are particularly good because they come with little exercises printed on them. So someone actually bought these for me off my Amazon wish list, so thank you very much. So let's get using them. So what I do is I put it in between my wrist like so. Okay, so just like this, and then we're going to take it behind and we're going to pull it out and up and down again. And you can really feel this in your shoulder muscles as you bring it down. And I can't hold it for too long. I do not have any real upper body strength, I would say. I have very, very strong hands, weirdly strong hands. I think I needed to be a masseuse or something like that, but I do have no upper body strength, so I had little wobbly arms. So this I just like though, because honestly it makes my back feel really good. It's a bit like sort of having a posture brace, something like that. So you're already pulling everything back and down. And again, anything that you see me doing, this is just things that I like to do and things that I think could help. So please just try them out slowly. I'm not doing anything crazy, but maybe if you haven't used these before, just have a read up on a few exercises, and I will show you some proper exercises you can do with them now. So, as listed on the bands, you can do things like bending down and stretching out with them. And you can actually do this out front ways like I've just done as well. See if I can find one we can demonstrate here. Okay, so one that I do quite like to do is I quite like to do a leg exercise with these, and I'm not sure you'll be able to fully see me do this, but let's give it a go. So what we're going to do is I'm going to pop this round my lower legs towards my ankles, okay, so like this, so that both my legs, which you can see now, are together, okay, joint by the band. And then we're going to go on our side, okay, and we're going to do, I call it a scissor leg lift. It's quite good for toning your inner thigh, so I just like it as a stretch really. But what we're going to do is we're literally going to stretch up and down, and by having the resistance band, it's just allowing you not to go mad and overstretch like this, but it's just giving you that speed and allowing you to have a more controlled movement. And I think they're just genuinely really useful. So we'll leave the bands for now, but if you want to get a good stretch in or use them for more exercises, then definitely give them a try. Okay, so let's have a sip of tea. someone actually asked me if English people are always drinking tea, which I always answer, I always am. But actually, I think we have many more coffee places in the UK than tea. It's definitely taken over, but I think that there's nothing nicer than a proper pot of tea. So you've got to get a good teapot, and ideally you want to get some tea leaves, and you'll pop those in the pot in the little strainer. Get some nice hot water, and you'll get your teacup and saucer, and you'll have a nice pot of tea. Of course, a biscuit, that is a must. And I just think it's a nice little ritual, and I think that's the really nice thing about doing something like this, is that it's another ritual, and that's a really good way to split up your day, I think. I think that when the mind is bored, it perhaps lends itself to thinking more negatively. Therefore, breaking up your day into little rituals, whether it be relaxing like we're doing now, or having some kind of morning routine, whether it be regular meals or a walk that you go out and do. Just splitting up your day makes your mind just process different areas of the day much easier. So this time is your happy, relaxing time just for you, and I think that's a really positive thing to do. So I promised you some more stretching, so let's stretch out that day even more. So now what we're going to do is we are going to just continue to work on our core, okay? So you hear people talk about their core quite a lot, and have you got a strong core? Are you working on building your core? All of this stuff. To me, having a good core means having a good center, so it's a good posture. Also, it's a good balance. So this is definitely built through doing things like yoga and exercise. So all you do is, again, imagine that you are upright on a string, and what you really want to do is you want to breathe into your core. And yoga breathing is a little bit different. So when you breathe in, you let your stomach out. Okay, so you let all your core muscles, your stomach, everything out. Okay, so push it out as far as you can. Then when you breathe out, you're going to suck all of that in. Okay, so let's try that together now. So being pulled by the string, and we're breathing in and out. We're breathing in and we're breathing out. So it's sort of like reverse breathing. But what it allows you to do is it allows you to center your core. One of my favorite poses in yoga is the tree pose, and you'll recognize it by standing upright and drawing one leg to the standing leg, creating a triangle shape, and you're really driving up all of your center and your core, and it's a really beneficial move to do. So the next thing I want to do is I want to try and stretch out some of my leg muscles, okay? So this is where having a nice comfy mat is good, because we're going to go on to our back, okay? Now let me just use this cushion here. I always think it's good to make yourself nice and comfy, because if you're uncomfortable, if you're wearing things you're uncomfortable in, or you're in an environment that you're uncomfortable in, then you're not going to be as relaxed. So don't worry about what you look like, don't worry about where you are, just make yourself comfortable and it will all flow. So let's move my little Chinese cat, which I love. Let's move him. Okay, so I'm going to scooch down, and sorry if you can't see me, but I'm going to lay back onto the mat. So let's draw you down a second just so you can see this next bit. Now what you'll be able to see at this point as well is my microphone. It's been hiding away. So what we're going to do is you're really going to draw your back into the mat. So push your spine into the mat as far as you can. And this is a really good thing to do. And just let your back really sink into the mat. It sounds very, very simple. You may be thinking, what's the point in that? But I was told to do this by a chiropractor, and it is beneficial. So push into the mat, and you can do this by, if you draw yourself upwards, you can see how baggy my trousers are now. If you draw yourself upwards, start at the top and just roll yourself all the way down, you'll be able to really get into the mat, okay? So with that being said, now what you can do is we can simply draw the legs upwards, and this is where the baggy trousers come into their own. So I am simply going to wrap my hands around, and I am literally going to rock from side to side, but very, very gently. So no big motion. And this is really just loosening up the hips, but also because you're having to do a little bit of balance, it's still engaging that core, which I think is so important. Now what you can do next is just draw the legs upwards, okay? And that way you can feel the stretch in the back of your legs. And you can also just do this with one leg, however you prefer. Now if we were exercising properly, what I would say to do is you could do something like a bicycle move, and this is good for your core, and you would literally go around as though you're on a bicycle, keeping yourself at a 90-degree angle, and this is very good for your core muscles, but also you can feel the burn in your legs. So we won't do too much of that now as we're trying to unwind. So now what we can do is something that I did demonstrate at the beginning of this little mat session, but we can draw ourselves upwards. So this is really good to get yourself aligned, and again this is something that I got from a couple of different chiropractors that I went to see. So I had a little injury which was actually inflicted by a chiropractor, and I therefore went to different people to try and get it fixed. I had internal bruising. It was a bit of a thing. So I had an injury with my side, and so one of the things that was important to do was to strengthen again and align. So what you can do is you can feel your hip bones just here. If you can't feel your hip bones, do not worry. So I've got a lot of extra love, shall we say, on things like my thighs, but my stomach is quite flat, so I can feel my hip bones. It's the only part of me that's flat, but there we go. So you can just feel your hip bones there. And what you want to do is make sure everything's straight. And you can just draw your arms upwards at the same time. And this is just getting your balance all together. And you want to be clenching. And the reason why you want to do that is because, again, it's working all of these muscles all around here. So it's keeping everything nice and just drawn in and tight and engaged. And then you can lower back down. And then when you're ready, you can just repeat. So you can draw yourself up. Feel like your hip bones are in line with your knees. Everything is nice and straight. Everything is nice and flat. Okay, you can do the arms up. You can do the arms to the side. Or you can just not do the arms at all. And you can keep them by the side. And all you want to do is hold this for just a few seconds. Just keeping nice and relaxed. And then just drawing back to the floor. And being on the floor is really great because it just allows you to just focus on this moment. You're really relaxed, and this is the one thing that I would definitely advise to take from any of this, is to take a moment to realign that back, draw those hips towards the floor, and just re-engage, because it helps to relax and unwind. And I just like to take a moment to think about 3 things that I'm grateful for in the day. And I'll sit up so that we can finish and do this together. Okay. So this is actually something that I took from Russell Brand, who has a series of YouTube videos. Obviously he's known for being a comedian, actor, author, all of these things. But as a lot of people know, he's quite a spiritual person as well. And I was listening to one of his videos, and it was all about having a gratitude journal. So keeping a little book that you could write in at the beginning or the end of every day, and you can write in anything you like. So don't feel like you have to write in achievements like I ran a marathon today, because that's definitely not going to happen. But you can write down things like I'm grateful for the lovely breakfast I had this morning. I'm grateful that it was sunny today, or rainy, whatever floats your boat. I'm grateful that I didn't feel anxious today. It can be anything at all. So for me personally, if I think about what I'm grateful for today, I wasn't able to film in my outside studio because of the weather. It's very stormy and rainy, and it would be too loud. So I'm very grateful that I've got a nice warm home, that I was able to bring in some equipment and film here instead. Number 2, I'm very grateful for the lovely lunch that I had out. Of course, tea was involved, but it was a very nice lunch, and I'm very grateful for that. And finally, I am going to be grateful for the very lovely family dinner that I'm going to have tonight. We're going to have a roast dinner, which is quite traditional across the UK. So you have a Sunday roast dinner. The kind of vibe of it is very similar to a Christmas or a Thanksgiving dinner, I guess, but more toned down. So you'll typically have a meat or a vegetarian kind of option, and lots of veg and gravy, and it's very nice. So yeah, I'm very thankful for that today. There is nothing that I like more than a good meal when the weather is bad outside. There's nothing I find more comforting and cozy, and I love it. So by thinking of the things that make you feel grateful for the day, however big or small, you can see that I just listed two food things and my filming. Whatever makes you happy on that day, whatever springs to mind first. It could be a smile that a stranger gave you. It could be the fact that you got your new favourite top in a sale. It could be whatever you like. Just take the time to write these things down, and I promise you that you will go to bed just feeling a little bit more at peace and more restful, and you won't have to focus on any other negative thoughts, because you'll be focusing more just on the goodness that you've experienced. And I always say this, but even on the darkest of days, you can always find little tiny things, even if they are tiny things, that just stand out as little rays of sunshine and rays of hope. And trust me, I've been there. I've had the darker days. I get it. I do. I really do. But if you can just find the smiles and things, that's why I love humour. That's why I love comedy programs. You know, watch feel-good things. Do things that make you feel good. Don't do what other people are doing just for the sake of it. And take moments like this for you, for yourself. And I promise you that not only will it lead you to just a better sleep kind of balance, but you'll feel more balanced during the day. And I always lie to myself and I say that I cope with stress and I cope with pressure, and I've been on so many job interviews in the past where they've said, you know, do you cope well under pressure? And I've said yes. It's my best thing. I cope so well. The truth is, I do not cope well under pressure. I do not cope well under stress. I like being in my little bubble. I like doing my own thing. I don't like worrying. I don't like stress. I like a routine. All of this. So whenever I'm doing more things, I tend to find myself feeling a bit more anxious. And the one area that definitely gets affected is my sleep. So by having a routine, it kind of does help to rebalance. And there are some days where I will be too lazy, or I'll be thinking, oh no, what's the point? But in the long term, it's definitely worth it to take that time and just do a little bit more of what makes you happy. And so I hope that you enjoyed unwinding with me. I hope you enjoyed this more rambly style. It's always nice to do from time to time. Thank you for your continued support, and I hope that you can take some of the things that you may have heard me say tonight and maybe put them into practice in your own lives. And even if you don't, I hope that this video at least will have made you a bit more relaxed and a bit more at ease. And hopefully you can just continue on to a more relaxing path and discover your own peace. And as my good friend Crinkle Lovin says, aka Rachel, protect your peace. And I always remember that. So whatever is on your mind, whoever is causing you stress, whatever it is, just protect your own peace and take time for you and yourself, and just relax, because life is too short to have regrets and to feel a certain way that makes you unhappy. So just do more of what makes you happy and get a good night's sleep, and you'll be on your way. So I hope this has helped, and I wish you all a good night's sleep, and I will see you in the next video. Good night.